Good morning and welcome to Business Writing, Writing 3082. This semester, you'll be taking this class entirely online. We will begin our first week tomorrow, January 3rd. I'm your instructor, Professor Laura Gabrion, and I can be found in my office hours from 8:30 to 10:30 on Monday and Wednesday mornings, which is in 147 O'Dowd, as the little label up at the top of our Moodle screen lets you know. But don't hesitate at any time to email me and make a different appointment. The only thing I would hesitate to do would be to call me unless you do call during these office hours. I do share 147 O'Dowd with several other faculty, and unless one of us is in the office, we don't have voicemail throughout the Department of Writing and Rhetoric, in our downstairs offices. So the message would not get through. So email is the best way to let me know that you want to meet with me, or if you just have questions. Every week in this top part for course resources, I will be sending you an announcement. The announcement will usually guide you to the video that I'll have every week for you, usually in screencast format like I'm doing right now, to let you know what's happening for the week, which things you need to pay attention to in regards to review materials and readings. And also, I will be showing you where and when your assignments will be due. Now, one thing is typically I have you turn in assignments by Sunday at 11:55 p.m. However, there will be certain times over the course of the semester where due dates are staggered during the week because you have something that's due in final copy format at the end of the week on Sunday, and therefore a draft would need to come in earlier in the week to make sure that it's been reviewed both by a peer and by me in time for you to make your corrections and to turn it in final submission form. So just kind of pay attention to that. But the nice thing about the announcements feature is if you forget something that I announced earlier in the week, just click on the link and you have access to that announcement. In the course resources, I've posted the syllabus for you. The syllabus just goes over general information about the course, but a couple of things that I want to point out are, the importance, one, of this being an online class, so you need to make accommodations for yourself to make sure that you can meet the weekly, assignments and the due dates. If for any reason you have things like a computer crashing, you'll need to get yourself onto campus to use the computers that are available, or you'll need to go to a library or something like that. Definitely, I would discourage you from trying to use a phone to work throughout the entire semester. There's just too much writing that you're going to be doing, and that would be difficult. So access to a computer, access to the internet, and a backup plan. I will not require a textbook. The readings will be provided in Moodle throughout the semester, and make sure that you do have a current APA guide, but I would highly suggest the free online Purdue OWL's online version of APA is updated, and it's an excellent resource. The other thing that I want you to keep in mind is throughout the entire semester, our goal is to get you to be thinking about a real world audience for all of your writing. So when you're creating a cover letter, it's going to be for a specific job. When you're creating your resume, it's with that specific audience in mind that's geared towards the career objective that you have. Similarly, the white paper and the proposal will follow suit. You will be considering a hypothetical but real world audience, somebody who is actually a stakeholder in the decision making that will go on in regards to a proposal for something, a solution in the workplace, that kind of thing. So that's one thing that's important. The second thing is how rhetoric functions in the workplace. So how are you building your ethos, your credibility? How are you incorporating logical evidence? How are you inciting emotion in your audience? What kind of words are you choosing? And how are you considering the fact that audiences shift, and so the kind of writing that you need to do in the workplace will shift accordingly. One easy example of that is a teacher. A teacher would be perhaps in the elementary setting, making a worksheet for her students. So the audience obviously is going to be, let's say second graders. Whereas if she's writing a letter home to the parents, that audience shifts. So does her language, so does the way that she's putting that together. And finally, if she were going to maybe propose to her principal that she takes her class on a field trip, again, that audience, language, the format is going to shift yet again. So that's what I want you to be thinking about all semester. All right. The absence policy really doesn't impact an online class, but if you start to not turn in assignments, if you're absent, from activity for a week, I'll contact you directly, but, obviously that's going to have an impact on your grade. The other thing that I want to point out to you is that we will be peer reviewing your work. So don't think of your work as private and that only I will be looking at it. Definitely in a classroom or in the workplace, it's a common practice that you get, a second, third, maybe fourth set of eyes. All right, you can see that we've got, 5 main categories of work, and that's broken down further into smaller assignments that are within that particular, larger category. That's broken down even further in the percentage distribution. You can see that the proposal is worth 25% of your grade, but it's broken down into smaller assignments. I'll show you a document that breaks that down further so that you understand what percentage of your final grade is allocated to, for example, the proposal memo. Another thing that I want to call to mind right away is that late work is not accepted at all in this class. And again, you want to be considering, workplace practices. You would not be able to say, "Hey, I missed that deadline. Can you let me do it 2 weeks later?" So we want to keep that as a workplace practice and workplace writing practices. All right, the rest I think is relatively easy for you to just kind of meander through. Definitely, I would encourage all of my students in any level of classes to utilize the Writing Center. It's an excellent resource for us. And then you can see that the breakdown, we're right here in week 1. I'm making this week 1 video. You'll view that. I want you to look through the course resources that I'm looking through right now, and then you'll have your assignments that are due, but also that I want you to do. Every week you will see this same exact pattern. And I will be continually loading information for the next week, or maybe a couple of weeks down the road, as we go. You'll notice in a couple of minutes when I go back to our Moodle page that only our first week is securely loaded with all of the pertinent content. And you're going to see that as the weeks progress, I will be loading always a week ahead at least, so that the material is ready for you for the next week. All right, so going back to that, I've given you a breakdown, like I said I would, about the distribution of the individual assignments. So you understand that, like, if you're doing if you're in the correspondence category, which is 15% of your grade, and you're doing an email assignment, that's worth 3% of your total grade, just so that you understand, how each kind of scaffolds and builds into the whole. There is a discussion forum for rubrics. I would pay attention to that if you're looking for the highest level of points. You can see that, being detailed, insightful, using academic language with minimal errors, making sure that you post to the total number of posts, it's going to get you the highest number of points. Similarly, with the peer reviews that you've turned in, your draft that you've responded using, academic language and, insight to your peers paper. Those are going to be important for, again, ascertaining the total number of points. There's a point to grade equivalency scale, just so that my grading is, maybe a little bit more unique, organized than the university as a whole. Every faculty member has, the ability to adjust. So for my class, 97 to 100 is a 4.0, and then you could see where these grades distribute down to, the lowest grade. So just kind of be aware of that as you're moving through the course. If you at all need any kind of support, please, if you haven't already, visit the Disability Support Services. They will write a letter, and you can submit the letter to me, and I'll know how to adjust anything in class. And the final thing is just knowing the important dates, so that you will be able to adhere to any drops, ads, or eventual withdrawals if that comes up. The rubrics will be added to as the course progresses, but they will guide you in what the expectations of the particular assignment are. So now this view will now be the week one video. I'll be posting that there. I want you to go through these course resources on your own and in more detail. And I also want you to review rhetoric. I want you to understand that we're going to, like I said, be looking at purpose, audience, ethos, pathos, logos throughout the entire semester. I really want you to think about your job as a writer, as the person communicating, and how you can impact your audience by shifts that you'll make in your writing. You'll do discussion forum number 1 sometime between Wednesday, tomorrow, and Sunday at 11:55. This is a pretty informal one. You'll make a 30-second video about yourself, respond to 2 other classmates' videos at least. If you want to respond to more, just so you kind of get a feel for who's in the class, you're welcome to do that. And you'll do an email assignment. And in the email assignment, what I want you to do is consider, if those of you who are on campus can probably appreciate this, you've run into a parked car in the parking lot at OU, especially with our snow and limited visibility. The driver's not there, and I want you to write a quick and realistic email to each of the following: the driver of the parked car, the OU Police Department, and your parents. And then I want you to analyze your own piece here. I want you to go back and evaluate the message for an example of ethos, pathos, and logos in each of these email messages. So basically, I should see, 9 appeals, 3 for each of your email messages, and just describe why that's an example of either ethos, pathos, or logos. That will be due on January 7th at 11:55. And as always, I'll every week tell you that if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask me. And I look forward to working with you. Just like I said, stay on task as you go through the weeks. And as you, as a student, go through these weeks, you'll notice that they will continue to be loaded in advance of the beginning of that week and any subsequent due dates. Happy New Year, and I will be looking at your work as it comes in this week.